Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to another episode of In Depth with David. This is Bruins recap number 6, where we are going to be recapping not only the first game, but also the second game of the Bruins' second round playoff matchup against the New York Islanders. And once again, I'm joined by my cousin Bryan. Bryan, how are you doing? It's been a minute.
I'm doing all right. I'm a little nervous. I'm already getting the nerves going for game 3. I just hope it goes better than game 2. But yeah, we got 2 games to talk about today. So
Right. I mean, just up and down. I think we all knew coming in when we talked about this, it was going to be an exciting series. And I know Bruce Cassidy even said in a pre-series press that it's almost like the Bruins are playing themselves because these teams just mirror each other so much. And these first 2 games were fun. I mean, you got to respect the gameplay.
yeah, they are similar to us. They're pretty good defensively. We seem to be good defensively at times, and at least game 2, I know it's getting ahead, but they almost seem to have the one line going like we do sometimes. Like they had Barzal's line, who was always looking dangerous. Like we have Bergeron line that always looks dangerous. So it is, the 2 teams are a pretty good reflection of one another.
Yeah, and that's a huge X factor in this series too. Barzal. It wasn't until you and Joe told me that the Bruins had 3 chances to pick him in the 15 draft, and we did not pick him. And apparently, he has made it his mission his whole career to prove Don Sweeney wrong. And Joe told me something in the preview we did where he, I don't know if this is true, but he said that Barzal scored an OT winner against us this year, and right after that, he pointed up to the press booth where Don Sweeney is and like flipped him off and said, "You bleeped up." So
I don't know if that's true, but Don Sweeney definitely messed up because he is so good, Matt Barzal.
Right.
But I mean, not only Matt Barzal, we missed a whole bunch of players with those picks, so it is tough.
I can't wait for Zach Senyshyn, though. I can't wait for him.
Yeah.
So getting into the first game, the first period was a wacky one because a lot of the nerds aren't going to like this, but the analytics don't really tell the story in this. And we'll get into this later, but just by statistically, you'd think the Bruins are dominating this period, but it was really, really close if you remember. Obviously, the Bruins would end with way more shots on goal, but the Islanders had things going early in this one.
Yeah, so we might have had more chances or whatever, but a lot of times the Islanders, even though we're out shooting them a lot, when the chances they are getting look pretty dangerous.
So right away, it's pretty nerve-wracking as there's 5 turnovers on the first sequence of this game. That's just how? I don't get how this happens.
That's just poor puck management. I don't know. I'm sure Bruce has talked to him about it though.
Yeah, I mean, I just that's just the worst way to start the series.
Yep. Gotta calm the nerves,
Right. So thankfully, nothing came out of that, and then. To add insult to injury, McAvoy gets a hooking penalty, so the Islanders go on the power play. And then, do you want to explain what happens on the power play for the Islanders, if you remember?
So they scored on it, right? And I think they had a screen, and it was a shot from the point that went in.
So Beauvillier tipped one in from the blue line. It was shot from Dobson, and it's 1-0 Islanders, just like that. The thing that irritated me the most about this is you understand that the PK unit for not only the Bruins, but for any team, it just can't be perfect. But we had multiple opportunities, and this is the theme of the Bruins, to clear the puck. I'm looking at you, Brandon Carlo, specifically, and you couldn't do it.
I get nervous when Brandon Carlo has the puck in our end. He seems to always whiff or just it's always an adventure with him. But, he is solid. He's solid breaking up plays, but not so much handling the puck and, trying to get it out of our end, which I don't know. He almost burned us multiple times. You just whiff on the puck, or when he doesn't whiff, he just throws it up the boards too soft and it gets kept in. And yeah, it's hard to watch.
Has Bryan Carlo turned out to be a good selection for the Bruins? Because I remember way back when we first gave him a chance, I want to say in 2016 or 2017, a lot of people were saying, thank God the Bruins have another young rookie to root for. Has he come along in his time in Boston?
I mean, it is a theme, especially this playoffs, with him not being able to get the puck out.
Him and Coyle.
Yeah, he looks defensively speaking, just not handling the puck, but just breaking up plays. He's a big guy and he's got a long stick and he's pretty physical. So he's good in those scenarios, but handling the puck, definitely not his strong suit.
So just like that, as I said, 1-0 Islanders. Bavillier tips in the shot from Dobson. In transition, after that, Grzelcyk had a wrister tapped around by Krejci and Hall, but it ended up going wide. Marchand was able to find Pastrnak for one-timer in front, but Sorokin was able to make the save. Uh, Later on in the period, too, this is where it gets a little nerve-wracking because Bergeron loses a face-off in the offensive zone. I think it was McAvoy who ended up whiffing on the puck. Islanders get a 2-on-1 in transition, but thankfully Palmieri's shot is high. So this just goes back to it, just bad puck control. And it cost us a goal already in this game, and it almost cost us another one in this sequence.
Yeah, it's 2-on-1s and stuff like that. That was happening against the Capitals, too. Just the odd man rushes and whatnot that need to stop.
And then after that, Clifton has a nice play as he explodes to the offensive zone in transition. He gives it up to Craig Smith, who is on the left side, and then Craig Smith finds Krejci, who is streaking through the middle. David Krejci had a snapshot, shot on net, and even though it bounced around a bit, Sorokin was able to deny it. But the thing I took away from this play is Clifton, along with others like Charlie McAvoy and Mike Riley, are just these really explosive offensive defensemen that we have, and it's just really encouraging to see that unfold on the ice.
Yeah, it is good to have them. They're almost like similar play styles to Krug, like, just move the puck well and skate well with the puck, and it is nice to have like those tape-to-tape passes that they can generate. And Clifton, like, he has times where like he would pull like a Brandon Carlo and kind of whiff, but when he's like on, he skates well and he moves the puck well. So yeah, it was nice to see.
Do you like to see it when these defensemen take matters in their own hands and instead of just playing from the blue line, they take it right at the net? Because I remember kind of like when I first started watching hockey in the earlier years, when we still had Dougie Hamilton, he did that a lot. Obviously, McAvoy does that. We saw Riley. We'll talk about that. I remember we texted about that as wraparounds in the playoffs, and we see Clifton do it in this game. So, do you like seeing that, or would you rather them just play it safe and not risk anything by being too aggressive?
So I mean, I don't hate it. I like it. It makes your attack like more dynamic. You have more like it's more dangerous, but you're just gonna make sure that the defensive partner is always back, and you don't have two defensemen up the ice at any time. So if if Clifton or Riley, if they're playing aggressive, they got to be paired with someone who knows like to just stay back a little bit just so they're prepared.
And then before the end of the period, Andy Green had a high stick penalty or committed a high stick penalty on Coyle. So the Bruins get on the power play. And with just under a minute left, there was, I believe, around like 30 seconds or less. Bergeron wins the faceoff in the offensive zone. Krejci, who was on defense in this power play unit, wrists one in from out near the blue line, but there's a juicy rebound off the save by Sorokin. Pasta is just waiting for it on the left, and he waits to shoot it initially. He could have easily shot it right after he got the rebound, but he waits, shifts in slightly to the right, and then he buries it. And just like that, Pasta is on the menu right before the period ends.
What a great play by Pasta. He's just yelling at the TV for him to shoot, but he knows what he's doing, and he waited the perfect amount of time. And I don't know, just such a great presence of mind and skill by Pasta to do that. And he like just waited for the perfect opportunity, and then he had a pretty open net to shoot into.
Because I think even if he shot that right away, he still has a solid chance of scoring, but you'd rather pass up a solid chance of scoring to make sure you actually score. And that's what happened there. And yeah, the underrated part, as you just said, of that play is just the patience by him. And that's what separates great players from good players, in my opinion.
Yeah, you got to think like most guys, the second that's on their stick, they're just firing it because they're in a good zone and whatever. But, he had the presence of mind to just wait it out. And he was just cool and calm. And, that's what makes him special.
Did you ever have any instances of that when you played hockey where you have to make a split-second decision, or was it tough to kind of make these analytical decisions while you're playing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he thinks about something like that, like mid-game. Like maybe he didn't, and it's just instinct that he knew to wait. But personally, I don't know. There's not much time to think on the ice, so it's really impressive that he had that in his head, just knew to wait. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to make decisions like that on the ice because everything moves so fast.
So the Bruins go into the locker rooms feeling a bit better about themselves at the end of the first period. The shots were 18-7 in favor of Boston, but as we said, it just didn't feel like that at all. I mean, the Islanders were really putting the pressure on us in the first few minutes of that period, but we were able to answer the call towards the end of it.
Yep, good to go into the second tied 1-1 instead of being behind.
So, second period, right at the beginning, Pastrnak throws a casual wrister onto Sorokin. Sorokin easily makes the save, and Bergeron couldn't jam it in. But once again, and this is going to be the theme of the early parts of this series, it's just the perfection line, as the NHL fandom loves to call it, generating great scoring opportunities.
Yeah, it's so nice to have them clicking. That was something they in like game 1 of the Capitals series. We talked about it. Like I think Marchand and Bergeron had no shots or whatever, and it was pretty disappointing. But they've kicked it right into gear, and we absolutely needed that to happen in order for us to win some games. Because I mean, they're the heart and soul of the team.
Right, and I have to apologize. I overreacted a lot. I take things. I'm a pretty emotional person, and when I see a player or a group not performing well after 1 or 2 games, I make baseless conclusions. And thank God for the first line for proving me wrong. They really cleaned up the bottom half of that series.
No, I mean, they definitely didn't show up though the first game of that series. But I mean, if they still hadn't, we'd have no chance really, because they drive the team when they're on.
So after that, the second line also got going in the second period, but something bad happened in the second line. Is Craig Smith, does he have a lower body, upper body?
Yeah, lower body. And I think it was a collision with Matt Martin, I want to say. Do you know who it was?
I think it was Martin. So DeBrusk ends up filling in for him on the second line. I'm going to talk about a play before he gets hurt where DeBrusk was on the ice with Krejci and Hall. He ended up feeding it to Hall, who was on the left, and Taylor's shot ended up going wide. But as I just said, it's just good that really our top 2 lines are clicking, and we needed that more than ever in a tie game because we want to create any edge possible. And then after that, Zajac on the Islanders, he used to play for the Devils, by the way, right?
Yep. So this season, both Zajac and Palmieri, they both played for the Devils, and they at the trade deadline, they both got moved to the Islanders.
That's right. So Zajac had a soft shot from the left. It found itself to Palmieri on the right, but Tuukka was able to slide over to protect that side of the goal, but it doesn't matter since Kyle couldn't put his stick on the puck, but if he was able to, I mean, I would have imagined Tuukka would have made that save. And another thing I also read is that it seems like Palmieri's been a Bruins killer in the past. Can you verify that or deny it?
Not that. I have no clue, but I know that there have been rumors going around for a couple of years that the Bruins would try to trade for Palmieri, and he's a great player, but he was one of the names at this trade deadline that we could have got, but luckily, I mean, no disrespect to him, but I'd rather have Taylor Hall, so I was glad we went with Taylor Hall instead.
I agree with you, and whether Hall forced his way to Boston or not, that's a story for another day. I have no comment on that, but we're happy to have him. So after that incident or that sequence, Nick Ritchie hooks Zajac, so the Islanders go back on the power play. Bruins thankfully kill off this PK, but look, this just goes back to the whole thing. Just don't take stupid penalties. Be disciplined. And I'm not saying that this was a stupid penalty in the sense Nick Ritchie, what the heck are you doing? It's just come on, we got to stop this at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. Nick Ritchie's kind of been the face of stupid penalties since I think last season in the playoffs against Tampa in the elimination game that we lost. Nick Ritchie just could not stay out of the box, and ever since then, I don't know. Ever since that point, Nick Ritchie is just, I don't know. He just hasn't done it for me. But he did have an okay season this year for sure. But I don't know, something about him.
Did we have his brother on the team last year too?
Yeah, we did.
Brett Ritchie?
I think he mostly played in the AHL though.
Huh. Alrighty then, never mind. After that, Josh Bailey had a wrister on Rask, but Tuukka was able to make the pad save. Later, Krejci was able to find Taylor Hall on the left. Hall's wrister was saved, but Sorokin didn't even know it was still under his pads. Krejci tries to jam it in, but the rookie goaltender eventually ties it up under his pads, and a face-off would ensue. After that, by the boards, Marchand would find Bergeron for a one-timer from the right face-off circle. And once again, Sorokin lets up a juicy rebound that falls right in Pasternak's lap. Pastrnak just fires it home. you could tell this was going to go in as soon as it went off the stick, and
Yeah.
pasta is on the menu for seconds.
Yeah, Sorokin, that whole game, it was kind of a theme. He was giving up some juicy rebounds, and I want to say it was more than once where he like made a save and he didn't really know where it was, and he kind of like went looking around like the back of the net, like, is it behind me, or like, where is the puck? He did that a few times that game in game one. So I was kind of disappointed that they put Varlamov in game two, because I think Sorokin looked a little shaky in game one.
Is it better? Is it bad goaltending, or is it just better shooting when a goaltender keeps giving up juicy rebounds like that? Or is it a little bit of both?
Yeah, I would definitely say a little bit of both, because as a forward, or as someone who's shooting the puck, like, there's certain spots where you hit on the goalie and it's just going to be hard for them to control the rebound. Like if you just shoot it off their pads or whatever, like that's going to just be difficult for a goalie to redirect properly, because the pads are just pretty bouncy. But I don't know, if it's like your blocker and stuff, that stuff I think is easier to just direct it to the corner. But when a puck is shot off the pads, it is hard to put that to an area you want it. But some goalies control rebounds better than others, and Sorokin, I don't know, he was kicking some like straight up the middle of the ice.
Do you think it's something that the Bruins emphasize after seeing early in the game Sorokin was giving up so many of these rebounds, that maybe Bruce Cassidy pulls everyone aside and says, all right, this guy's Sorokin is not having the best game in net, so let's try and just force as many rebounds as possible?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely something you look for in a goalie. I mean, even when we played, when I played, like, I never played that high level or anything, but like, if a goalie lets out a lot of rebounds, to shoot it at his pads. And that's something we emphasized a lot, is like shooting it at the goalie's pads. So, the rebound might come out and find someone open, like it did, on that goal and pass that an open net.
And then after this instance, Matt Barzal in transition would try to deke around Clifton. Clifton had good defense on this play, but the puck ends up finding Matt Martin, who sent it across crease again to Barzal on the left, waiting for it, but the puck goes past Barzal. He can't put a stick on it. But you think that might be it all, and then Jordan Eberle and the Islanders retrieves the puck, hands it or tosses it off to Pelech. I believe I'm pronouncing his name right. The defenseman who was on the blue line. His one-timer shot goes off the pipe and in, and just like that, it's 2-2. This one was kind of tough. I mean, I thought we played well initially. It was going to be hard for us to retrieve the puck like Eberle did, but just a tough one to give up. And I feel like Tuukka just didn't expect that shot coming. And if he was, granted, it was hard. That I think he was getting screened in that play by two people, but if he had an inkling that shot was coming, I feel like he can make a play on it.
Yeah, I think that was probably a savable shot. But that first play to Barzal, I don't know, I sort of leave that didn't go in, and then that shot from the point was just it was a bit of a heartbreaker. Perfect. Yeah, I was like, well, we just survived that great chance, and then a few seconds later, they put one in. So
reminded me a lot of what PK Subban used to do to the Bruins whenever he came into the Garden, just firing those rocket one-timers from the blue line. I don't know if he still does that, but
I don't think so. Well, he's not what he used to be for sure, but I think Subban gets too much hate.
Were his best days in Montreal, would you say? Because
yeah, for sure. I want to say he won a Norris in Montreal.
Because he got traded to Nashville, and then he's on the Devils. Is that right?
Yeah, he's on the Devils now. Yeah, from Nashville to the Devils.
I always liked him. I always liked his and Marchand's fun little rivalry, and they try to fight each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just like that, it's 2-2. After that, Curtis Lazar gets a big hit on Pelech in the Bruins' end. And this was just the theme of the series so far. And it's been a theme of the Cap series, too, where our fourth line is just being really physical. Wagner, Lazar, and Corrali.
Yeah, they're not the biggest guys, but Corrali's pretty big, but I know Wagner's not huge. And, he's not afraid to mix it up. So it's good to see. And I think Wagner was an Islander at one point in his career, which I didn't even know until this series started. So, yeah, just a little fact. Yep.
Yeah, he's going to go off for a hat trick in Game 3, hopefully. And then after that, behind the net, Krejci finds Hall in front, who ends up getting a good shot on it, but he can't punch it home. And just like that, we're through 2 periods. And at the end of 2, shots are 29-12 Boston, which you think is great. It's all fun and dandy that the Bruins are getting all these shots on a rookie goalie, Sorokin, who's easily shaken up, not having his best game in net. Plenty of juicy rebounds. Obviously, Pasta cashed in on 2 of them. But the stat that probably stood out to me and you, and also a lot of other, Bruins fans, is that the Islanders had 2 goals on 12 shots.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough because a lot of you'd expect, no goals on 12 shots really, but I mean, you can't really blame Tuukka maybe for the second one, but it's just tough when you're out shooting a team by that much and you're not even ahead. That's just kind of deflating, but at least we didn't let it get to us.
Now I know how Caps fans feel in Game 5 after outshooting them 41-19. Take that. Third period, though, Curtis Lazar takes it right at Sorokin into the crease, but Sorokin is able to make a save. Then the dumb penalty parade starts again as the Bruins get too many men on the ice infraction.
I don't know how it keeps happening. I really don't.
How hard is it to not these guys are the best players in the world, and I'm not going to undermine the job and the tough task that you have as a hockey player and knowing when not to come out of the ice. But explain this to me as someone who played hockey. Is it the players who yell when to do the line changes, or is it the coach yelling come off the ice?
I think it's the coach for the most part, but I think we were in the middle of a change, and you just got to know to not. You just can't touch the puck. I don't know. It's tough, and I don't think we took I don't even remember taking a single too many men this whole season until the playoffs. I don't know what went wrong. I don't know why we just started taking them, but it's got to stop.
It reminds me of that 2017 playoff series against Ottawa, where the meme was we just kept on getting delay of game penalties, and it's what are we doing? I think we had 3 delay of games in one of the games, and I'm how hard is it to not just flick the puck over the glass? Jeez.
I know. Yeah.
Sometimes it happens, but and of course, you gotta love it's only fitting that Nick Ritchie was the one to serve the penalty. I don't know if it was on him, but I feel
I don't know if it was on him either, but I think they just throw someone in there who they know is not killing penalties.
He's the Sean Thornton of this Bruins group. I feel we always had Thornton take penalties for us, but love to see it. Right, absolutely. And Islanders go on the power play. Brock Nelson had a chance in front of the net with his back turned to Rask, but Tuukka was able to deny it. Dobson had a slapper, but it was sent away by Rask's pad. Bruins are able to kill off the power play, and right after they get back to full strength, Krejci gets the puck to Charlie McAvoy at the blue line. And do you want to explain what Charlie McAvoy does here?
Honestly, I can't remember.
It was a while. It's a few days ago.
I watched the recaps before we did this too, and I don't know, it just went right through my head.
That happens to me all the time.
It'll come back when you explain it, though.
So Charlie gets it at the blue line, and his one-timer from Krejci unexpectedly goes in. Ritchie was screening Sorokin in front. This is the one where we were a little confused as to if maybe there was a little contact there, but it turns out there wasn't. It was just unexpected because it was just a quick shot.
Yeah, when you were saying Charlie, I was thinking of Charlie Coyle. It's I don't remember him doing. I was I don't remember him doing anything. But yeah, I remember now. It was McAvoy shot it from the point. There was a lot of traffic, and it went in.
And I don't even think McAvoy thought that was going to go in. But hey, Krejci got it to him. He just threw something on net, and it worked out. And just like that, the Bruins take the lead 3-2. Wasn't the prettiest, but we'll take it. And after that, Wagner continues his physical play in this playoffs by nailing Cizikas into the Bruins boards by their bench. So just love the physicality again. Nelson had a wrister, but it was a glove save by Tuukka. And then, do you want to explain what David Pastrnak does after already having 2 goals, if you remember?
Okay, so yeah, I remember this one. So he had the puck, and the Islanders were kind of in the middle of a line change, so I think there was a bit of confusion there. But Pasta dangled around somebody on the Islanders. He walked in, and he had Hall with him, and Hall cut to the net. And we've seen Pasta do this a few times this season, where he has the puck on the left, and he kind of cuts to his right, and he shoots. And he loves doing that. He kind of gets the goalie moving, and it opens up certain holes in the net. So he took advantage of that. He slowed it down a little and cut to his right, and then a really solid shot. And Hall did a good job of driving the net too, in case there's a rebounder. And he also kind of attracted the 2 defensemen, Hall, by driving the net, and gave Pasta a lot of time and space to make that shot.
So this was Pasta turning defense into offense, as you said. I think the Islanders were in a line change, but Pasta is able to steal the puck, moves within in transition, starting on the left, and instead of skating north to south, as you said, and as he loves to do, he went east to west, or west to east in this case. He centered himself. Hoyer's a wrister, as I think Doc Emmerich loves to say, and he buried it. So, again, Pasta started doing this at the end of the Cap series. It's carrying into this series. The power of him just not being a spot shooter and doing things with the puck, it's a game changer. When
he's playing confident, he is so good with the puck on his stick, and it just showed there. When he's skating to the puck instead of waiting for the puck to come to him from like a pass or whatever, when he's taking matters into his own hands, he is so effective, and it's been so fun to watch the past few games.
And just again, he's a huge X factor in our playoff run and the longevity. And if he keeps playing like he's been playing these last few games, look out. This Bruins team is going to be hard to stop. I mean, that perfection line is at perfection right now. And I mean, it's going to be a fun series. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But we had rigatoni, ravioli, and on this go we had fettuccine. Pastrnak, his second career playoff hat trick. Another little fact. That's ridiculous.
Big stuff. Good. He's just getting, maybe not just getting started, but he's like what, 24, 25? He's plenty
5 years older.
Tank.
5 years older than Jason Tatum.
That's crazy. He's 5 years older than me. That's just crazy to think about. I mean,
right.
That's just
4 or 5 years older than us, and also Jason Tatum. And
I'm older than Jason Tatum at this point.
There we go. Right. And I would say he's better than Wayne Gretzky at this point.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, 4-2 Bruins now. We get a huge insurance goal. This goal by Pastrnak would pretty much do it. There was only like 4, maybe a little over 3 minutes left at this point. So, just huge that the Bruins could get this done.
Yeah, so nice having the extra goal because, if the Islanders pull the goal and we're only up by 1, that is a nerve-wracking last few minutes of play.
And then the Hats rained down on the ice, and you just got to love it. I love that part of hockey when someone scores a hat trick. I mean, you don't see it happen much when a player scores a hat trick on the road, but you love it in the front of the home crowd when the Hats come pouring down on the ice.
Yeah, also, in some of the games that have had like empty stadiums, you'll just see someone will get a hat trick and the only hat on the ice is from the backup goalie, and that's pretty funny when that happens. So, yeah. But, luckily that wasn't the case in game 1 because we had a full rink, full packed garden, so that was good to see.
Yeah, let's just talk about that for a second, actually. I almost forgot about that. Biggest crowd in the NHL this season goes to the honor of the Bruins and TD Garden. And they showed up. I mean, they had their moments where I'm like, okay, guys, let's get a little louder. But, no one's been to a game in 15 months, or not everyone in that magnitude has been to a game in 15 months. So we're warming up. We're getting ready. But you just love to see the fans back in the crowd. It was nice to see.
Yeah, it was. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the garden and the way the mics are, but sometimes it does seem a little quiet in there.
Right.
And then you watch like in Carolina or Nashville, and it is just like rocking the whole time. And I mean, I don't know if it has something to do with like the mics or what, but like there were points where it was a little quiet. But I mean, I don't know if you were there, maybe you would say something completely different.
I wish I was there. That'd be great. Another weird thing about the crowd, too, is I think they started doing this in game 2, but we're at a hockey game and they're chanting "Bleep you, Kyrie," because why not?
There was a few times they were chanting stuff and I couldn't really make out what they were saying, and I guess that was one of them. What a thing to chant during a hockey game.
And it's like I went to a Red Sox-Astros game a few years ago when they were chanting "Yankees suck" because the Yankees totally have everything to do with the Red Sox-Astros game. I don't get fans
rent free up in our heads.
Unfortunately,
apparently, if you're chanting that at a game they're not a part of.
So after that, Hall ends up batting on an empty netter, so we deck the Halls a bit. Bruins end up winning 5-2, but one weird thing on that empty netter is what the heck was Matt Pagot's problem, if you remember that? Like he shoved Hall after he scored and he started a little scrum. I'm like, sore loser much?
Yeah, I saw it. Pajot gave him a little shot after, but I mean,
I just don't get
3 goals.
Like, I guess he's just being a poor sport or whatever, but it's not like Hall said anything to him. He was just scored, and then he comes over, cross checks him. Obviously, the Bruins respond. There's a little meeting in the backyard, and
Yeah.
I don't know, just poor
That's
poor
what,
sportsmanship.
as a Bruin, you just say, "Hey, Peugeot, look at the scoreboard," and then you skate away.
Right. Have Jack Edwards come on the ice and taunt him. So Bruins win 5-2. Rask had 20 saves, and the Bruins outshot the Islanders 40-22. So, looks a little bit better. 20 saves on 22 shots.
Yeah,
And he
it's
had a
not
solid
can't
game.
really complain, but yeah, they should like we were talking about. They got to start handing when Pasta gets a hat trick. They hand out hats and you eat pasta out of it.
Absolutely. Or they should do something like how they do at the NBA games. We keep talking about basketball for some reason, which is weird. But if a player misses 2 free throws in a row, you get free tacos after the game. If Pasternak gets a hat trick, you get a free box of pasta.
Yep, like at baseball games, you eat ice cream out of a helmet.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
pasta and a hat.
Right. I'll have some elbows out of a hat for sure. Very sanitary. Um, Game 2, though, we'll get into this. Are you surprised that Varlamov got the nod instead of Sorokin? I mean, yes, he struggled a bit in Game 1, but I thought this was a little premature. It's only Game 2 of the series.
No, see, I think Varlamov had like a very, very good regular season. I don't know if he just played 2 bad playoff games and that's why they decided to put Sorokin in, or if Varlamov was hurt or something. But I was surprised Varlamov wasn't starting the first game because he's been outstanding this season. And I don't know, I can see why they did it because Sorokin, I don't think his numbers were terrible, but there were just times he looked a little shaky. He was letting out big rebounds, and like I said earlier, he had a few saves where he would stop the puck and then have to look around and just check to see where it was because he wasn't even sure he had it, and he just that he just didn't look too confident. So I was actually surprised Varlamov didn't start Game 1, and I wasn't too surprised they went with him in Game 2, considering he's had a really good season.
Is the thinking when making a goaltending change like this in a series when you're down already 1-0 by a coach, let's just shake something up and see what happens, or we need to change something so we don't go down 2-0?
I think if Sorokin, if I don't know if he to me he looked like he was good, solid enough, but I think he just looked a little shaky, and maybe his confidence was wavered a bit. And I think maybe Barry Trotz just saw that and was like, "We'll go to our guy who played a bigger role in getting us here in the first place, and so we'll just put Varlamov." And I don't know if it was I think it more had to do with the player Sorokin than we got to change something up now, or else we're done for. So yeah, I understand the move, and I think it was probably the right move to make.
And I guess you got to trust Trotz's judgment if what we talked about in the last podcast, because he's probably one of the better coaches in the NHL. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, he went to the Islanders, and no one had that high expectations for them. They lost Tavares and whatnot, and a lot of people they have a lot of players on their team who aren't really big name players, and he's able to get everyone to buy into a certain system, like a solid defensive system where they don't need to score a lot of goals because they make it so the other team doesn't score a lot of goals either. So he gets all his players to buy into that, and it really it's impressive what he does, and he doesn't need a lot of players, high skilled players to make it work. And we saw that in previous years in the playoffs, and they went to the conference finals last season, I want to say, and Barry Trotz is a huge reason why. And a lot of people say Matt Barzal, if he played for a more offensively minded coach, he would be putting up insane, much higher numbers than he does under Trotz. But it just speaks to Trotz. He gets a player like that to buy into a more defensive system, and he just gets the most out of his guys defensively. So I think he's a very good coach.
2.5 minutes into the game, the action, the goal parade gets started, and it is in favor of the Bruins as Nick Ritchie gets the puck to Charlie Coyle, the Weymouth, Mass native, who is able to break through to the front of the net. Phenomenal puck control in this play, and then he ends up sneaking it past Varlamov's pad, and it's 1-0 Bruins on the first shot of the game, just like that.
Yeah, it was a beautiful goal, and Coyle is so good at when he has the puck on his stick at keeping it. I don't know how he does it sometimes, and that was evident on that play. When he gets the puck on his stick, he's dangerous, and it's hard to get it off. But Coyle, when he takes it to the net like that, he's got good hands, and he's a big guy. So
yeah, I mean, he used the backhand there, he used the forehand, and it was a solid goal. Very, very tough play to make, and he made it look easy.
Yeah.
You love to see it. And also the other play talking about his puck control is the one that comes to mind is in game 2 of the Cap series where he went around Anderson. We keep talking about that, but that's just a phenomenal display of puck control there too. So 1-0 Bruins just like that. And the commentators also said something about Varlamov where this is the second straight game that he's let up a goal early on in the contest.
Yeah, that might have had maybe that's part of the reason why we didn't see him until game 2, maybe because he was been letting in goals early or whatever. And I guess, they were saying that's been a theme where he's letting the first shot in like multiple times in a row now. So,
And this was just a complete 180 from how game 1 started, where the Islanders were really putting the pressure on us. We come right in and score the first goal less than 3 minutes in. So we put some good pressure on, and then Jordan Eberle had a turnaround shot saved by Raspad. And once again, the meme of the playoffs and the theme of the Bruins' undisciplined woes, Nick Ritchie gets a tripping penalty. Or sorry, other way around. Ritchie got tripped. My fault. Okay. I misread that. I misread my own notes. So Ritchie actually got tripped, so he did something good to help us draw a penalty, and the Bruins go on the power play.
Yep. Being up 1, going on the power play, had a good chance to make it up by 2, and coming out of the gates up 1-0 was huge. And we were in really good shape, and I was, I was getting a little excited, maybe a little too early.
Me too. And in the first 30 seconds of this power play, we had some good opportunities, but after that, nothing came out of it. But we're still up 1-0. After the power play, Krejci had a wrister that was denied. DeBrusk flipped the backhander after the wrister was denied, but Varlamov saves them both. And that was really it. If we're going to talk stats quickly for the first period, it was 15-8 shots after the first period in favor of the Bruins. At one point, I think we were even out shooting them 10-2. Bruins did a good job in this period. I think we talked about this in text too, where we gave the edge to the Bruins in this period because we were consistently getting shots on net on the Islanders for the whole 20 minutes, whereas the Islanders were only getting shots on Tuukka and spurts in that period. But the difference was, I would argue the Islanders' substance, their shot chances they were getting was better because they were more in front of the net, whereas we were just settling for wristers and stuff most of the time, besides the Coyle goal. But all in all, the fact that we were able to go up 1-0 and just continuously keep the pressure on Varlamov is pretty solid in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. He's a little rusty because I don't think he's played in a while. So just firing everything we can at him. And the Islanders did have some good chances though. They had a lot of cross crease passes going just throughout the whole game in general. So we need to do a better job of winning those. But we came out of the period 1-0, so you can't really complain too much.
And now we're going to recap the abysmal second period. Probably the worst period for the Bruins in the playoffs so far. All right, let's get into it. So Cizikas on the Islanders, they're living in my head rent-free. Orlov and all those demons. He has 2 chances right in front of Tuukka. Got denied, saved by Rass. Krejci finds McAvoy streaking towards the net later, save Varlamov. Loose puck. Marchand gets his shot blocked by Roland Pulak, who was guarding the net because Varlamov came out a bit too wide, so they had a defender guarding the net. So Marchand's shot gets blocked by him. But on this play, Pasta, the man himself, Mr. Rigatoni, got a little excited, and he committed a goalie interference penalty. As this was pretty bad. He ran over
quite the collision.
This was like some NHL 12 stuff where you just glide in the goalie and his helmet goes flying.
Yeah, that was quite the solid collision.
Obviously not to that magnitude, but Pasta just got a bit too excited to get in front of the net, and he hit Varlamov pretty hard.
Had we scored on that, it probably wouldn't have counted anyway. So
yeah, that was crazy. But Islanders, as they've done, I know you said this, Joe also said this too, they're a somewhat of a defensive-minded team, and they recovered pretty well in this play. Andrew penalty.
Yeah, that you said it was Polak?
Yep, Ryan Pulak. I'm bad with
Pulak, and they're both like they hold it down back there, and they're really underrated. And they get brought up as a pair a lot because their names are similar, but they hold it down on the Islanders, and they're really underrated. Not a lot of people know about them, Pulak and Pelech.
Do you want to go into detail on what happened on this power play for the Islanders?
wasn't pretty for us. I mean, both their goals were pretty similar, so I don't really remember which. You're gonna have
This
to.
was the
You go.
so this was the first one that they scored, and this was the unlucky, probably the biggest. Actually, no, not the most unlucky goal of the night. We'll get to that later. The second unluckiest goal of the night, as Josh Bailey tried for a cross crease pass. I don't know who it was, but it ends up going off Jeremy Lauzon's skates, threw Rask into the net. Funky New York Islanders power play goal from Bailey makes it 1-1.
Yep, not the last Lauzon contribution to an Islanders goal. We'll see, but yeah. And then I remember I was on the NBC feed watching it. They said like, "Oh, I think it went off Carlo. Carlo wasn't even on the ice."
Jeez, those commentators need to get blood tested, as Jack Edwards would say.
Yeah, I think like Jack Edwards is like. I don't think Nesson's doing another playoff game. Or
I know it's they stopped doing that after the Bruins won the Cup in 2011. The year right after, they changed the rules where only the local guys can do the first round playoff series, and that's it. It used to be they do the first two, but
I don't know why they did that, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the commentary last night. One of the guys, I don't even know who. I think Pierre Maguire is on at some point, but I don't know. Some of them were like stumbling over their words, and Carlo saying the puck went off Carlo. He wasn't even on the ice.
Doesn't that guy like love Sidney Crosby or something? I see a meme about Pierre Maguire like loving Sidney Crosby or something. I don't know.
Probably. He gets a lot of hate. A lot of people don't like him, and I don't know. I think it's just something about his face.
Oh, jeez. Ouch. People were saying,
I don't know. He gets hated on a lot, and I'm not the biggest fan either.
Yeah, people were saying Pierre was like, this was a meme, obviously, but they're saying after the Bruins won Game 1, he like went in the Islanders' locker room and started like throwing Gatorade bottles or whatever, and he's like getting fired up because like he hates the Bruins or something. I don't know.
I don't know either. I just know, Pierre Maguire. No one really likes him.
Bunch of psychos in the NHL community. I don't even know where people come up with this stuff, but. Yeah, so 1-1. You can't really blame Lauzon, at least on this one.
Yeah.
It's just a freaky play. His positioning was fine. It was whatever. After that, Pulock finds Martin in front. Save Rask. This is obviously after the power play. Then later, Pajot is...
Yeah, Pajot.
Pajot finds Nick Leddy in the center of the ice. Leddy's wrister went wide, slowly caroms off the wall, and it goes in front of the net where Paul Mary is waiting for it, and Paul Mary just ever so softly jabs it in. Initially, it looked like he was just able to poke it in himself, but both Rask and Lauzon, again, the man of the hour, struggle to keep it out of the net. I don't know if Rask just struggled with his glove or like Lauzon also tipped it in. I still don't know, but it was a slow play. Puck slowly went into the net, and it trickles in, and it's 2-1 Islanders.
Yeah, I don't know. It was strange because it looked like Rask had it because Paul Mary kind of just like shoved it into his pad. I don't know. And it like ended up under Rask somehow. And yeah, like you said, it was just moving like so slowly. And I don't know if Rask like kind of tipped it back with his glove or Lauzon hit it, but it ended up in the net.
See, this is somewhat preventable. And it's another freaky play for the Bruins in terms of like the weird bounces. But the thing that triggered me so much watching this play and watching the highlights again this morning is Lauzon was just standing there in front of Rask, like just standing side by side with him. Like as soon as the puck gets to Paul Mary, like try and make a play out of it as he's waiting for the puck to come to him off the wall. Like Lauzon, don't just stand there. Do something.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. And then I think it's probably too late by then, but Lauzon like tried to get behind Rask and kind of like prevent it from going over the line. But at that point, it looked like he was just in Rask's way, and he kind of like tripped him up a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. It was ugly.
Am I overreacting when I say that, or is that what you want in hockey, where you want one of your defenders like when you're on defense and the other team is in the offensive zone, do you want one of your defenders right by the goalie, essentially part of the net, or do you want them somewhere else?
You don't want them like in the net or like, standing right next to Rask, but I do understand you want to have him in front of the net so Paul Mary doesn't have the option to, pass it across the crease to someone open on the other side. So if Lazon was just standing right in front of that, in a passing lane, that would have been much better. And I mean, I don't even think he really was. But yeah, so he doesn't necessarily need to be attacking the puck. He could have just done a better job of being in a passing lane, which he wasn't.
So after that, in a quick snap of the two fingers, Islanders take the lead 2-1. We get a nice little scoring chance as Taylor Hall finds McAvoy, who ends up finding Krejci in front to the left of the net, but Varlamov makes the save. And then after that, we go back on the PK as Brandon Carlo cross-checks Komarov. And you want to explain what happens on this power play for the Islanders, if you remember?
Do they?
It's 2-1 at this point.
So I know they made it 3-1. I literally watched the replays right before we started this.
I forget stuff too.
It was
this was, in my opinion, the only legitimate goal by the Islanders in this game. Fully legitimate.
It'll come back to me as soon as you.
So, as a fan, I just kind of tipped my cap to the Islanders. I think I texted you about this too, because this was a thing of beauty from on the power play. Barzal got it to Beauvillier in front. Beauvillier found Pajot on the other side of the net for another easy power play goal. Just kind of a layup. Pajot was able just to tuck it in on the left side of the net. Barzal and Beauvillier, just excellent puck control. I think they did like a spinorama pass, and Pajot finished off the play. 3-1 Islanders. They're taking care of the Bruins. They're taking advantage of the Bruins being undisciplined, and they put 3 on the board here in this period. And another thing is, instead of blaming Lazone on this play, you could probably look at someone like Corrali and blame, because when the puck was waiting to get to Pajot, he was just standing there, and then he slowly started to rotate. And, I'm sure maybe Bruce's hair is getting even more gray after seeing stints like this, but come on. We need better rotations on this.
Yeah, I think Corrali maybe got there a little too late, and by the time he was there, Pajot already basically had the puck in the net. So yeah, those are the plays that we need to limit to, the cross crease stuff, and clean passes across the front of our net just can't happen.
And then to add insult to injury in this second period, there's a total of 12 penalty minutes in just this period alone. I mean, it never ends, the officiating.
It doesn't. I don't get it. I don't.
And look, it's whatever. I fully understand the refs are going to call matching penalties for, soft stuff, but at some point it's just a little ridiculous. I think you texted me what is Nick Ritchie was the matching roughing penalties. I think that's what you texted me about. I want to say.
Oh, was it? I remember at one point. So it was the end of the second period, and the announcers thought we might start the third on the power play, but it ended up being a matching penalty. I don't even really remember what happened, but I just remember the announcers saying that. And I don't know if maybe I remember Carlo got a penalty too. That
I think I remember you texting me saying why is it a couple punches after the whistle? Yeah,
that was Carlo. They were just, I don't know who he was tied up with, but it was just a few shoves after the whistle, a little shoving match. And yeah, Carlo shoved whoever he was paired up with a few more times than he was shoved himself. But that's the type of play you see just throughout any game, any given game. You'll see a few little shoves after the whistle where no one's gonna get hurt from that, and it's not dangerous. It's just hockey, and I don't know why the refs felt the need to send Carlo to the box for it.
Is it a death sentence if you retaliate to someone after the whistle? And what I mean by that is, if someone gives you a little nudge after the whistle, and then you might push them back, is that just asking for match penalties from the refs? Are they going to call that pretty much every time?
So a lot of times they'll just get the guy who retaliated, but I mean, I don't know. It wasn't very blatant. It was just little shoves. It wasn't anything too malicious. And I was just shocked that anyone went to the box on that. I thought it was a little soft.
So we head into the third period with the Islanders up 3-1 after putting 3 on the board in that second period alone. And the Bruins really needed to get going. So beginning of the period, looked like the Islanders were going to score another one and probably put this game away. Matt Martin had a great chance from the right side. Save Rask. Marchand can't see it, or can't deke past the Islanders defenders in transition on another play. Pasta is able to pick up a loose puck. His wrister gets denied. Bergeron can't punch it home either. But look, we'll get into this later in this period too. But this was just this little sequence that I just talked about right here was just a microcosm of how important they were to us at least forcing this game to overtime last night.
Yep, they did it all. On the goal that they ended up scoring that line, well, they scored both of them, but I can't remember if it was the first or the second, but one of them, they were just not going to get off the ice until they scored. They were out there for so long. The puck went up and down the ice and they didn't change. And, they were the fuel to our engine last night. And, like they have been for so much of the season. So, they always stick with it. There's no quitting that first liner.
And then after that sequence, McAvoy had a wraparound wrister that got denied by Varlamov. But as we said earlier, it's just really encouraging to see these Bruin defenders just take matters in their own hands and be a little bit more aggressively offensively as defensemen than you usually see across the league. Marchand, also later, another sequence, passes it cross ice to Pastrnak for a one-timer from the left side, but Varlamov was able to make a save, hugging the post. And then the Bruins finally get on the board with this perfection line. This is what you were talking about, where the perfection line was on the ice for a while. They were not going to get off until they scored a goal. That's verbatim what you texted me last night, and I think that's pretty true.
Up and down the ice, they had chances to get off, and they just didn't. They were getting that goal.
So, in the same shift as Marchand and the Pastrnak play that I just described that got denied by Varlamov, Marchand gets a soft pass to Bergeron. Bergeron centers it, or he's centered in the ice. He fires a nice little one-timer and buries it. So just like that, it's 3-2, and the Bruins have life with about 8 minutes left at this point.
Yeah, that was a great shot by Bergeron, too. Just one-timed it in top left. And, he has such a great shot, and it's so nice. He does it on both ends of the ice. So, yeah, he's playing great, and he's scoring so many goals, and you'll have to see it because you never hear a single bad word said about Bergeron, so.
And I would go as far to say is he's probably the most underappreciated athlete in Boston in the last 20 years. I mean, You hear about the Tom Brady's, the David Ortiz's, the Paul Pierce's when he was here. Even Chara took the spotlight away from him. Bergeron is just sorry to compare them, but Bergeron was a heck of a better player than him statistically. And I just love that he's finally getting his respect now that he earned the C.
Yeah, I think he's the longest tenured Boston athlete right now, I want to say. And he's been so good, and it's so nice. You really never hear a bad word about him. So
right. And then after that, the Islanders pull a play out of the Bruins playbook, and they get a too many men in the ice penalty. I love to see it. And then, yep.
It's just the playoffs of the too many men call, apparently.
So on the power play, this is do or die. It's with about 5 minutes left. The hockey gods bless us with the power play, as they did in one of those. I think it was the second or the game 3 against the Caps, where we really needed to score on the power play with 8 minutes left, and Marchand cash it home. Once again, the hockey gods are smiling down on the Bruins, and we would make sure it paid off as Marchand had a wrister from the left face-off circle, ended up tying it. Now 3-3. Bruins get another power play goal. They've just been on fire on the power play in the playoffs so far, and we score 2 third-period goals late to tie it.
Yeah, that was it. He had a terrific shot, and power play, it's been clicking at a pretty good percentage, even though in the Capitals series I didn't necessarily love it because we spent a lot of time skating up and down the ice with the puck. But so far this series we've had a much better time of when we're on the power play, keeping it in the Islanders' end, and moving the puck around. And Marchand made a great play, and he had a really solid shot on that goal.
If you're a goalie, are you mad that 2 of our 3 goals at this point came from just shots out on the ice, or is it just you just kind of chalk it up as whatever?
I don't know. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap. I mean, those are just two great players going on you. But I mean, Varlamov probably could, if he probably could have saved them, but you can't blame him too much. It's just 2 really great goal scorers.
And then Mike Riley at the end of regulation, or close to the end of regulation, takes a stupid penalty, throwing his broken stick at the puck. Thankfully, nothing came out of it. I don't really know what he was thinking. I get he wanted to still be involved in the play, and he was nervous and panicking because he broke his stick. But like that also, like I know people automatically say like, oh, you throw your broken stick at the puck, it's an automatic penalty. But that also seems like a safety hazard to me. Like I don't want to catch a broken stick to the face.
Yeah, I think that's probably the reason it's like a penalty if you do that kind of thing because like yeah, the stick is like a little jagged if you break it, but that's not a penalty you see too often playing it with the broken stick. So yeah, and it was tough because we just scored and we had so much momentum, and then that penalty was a bit of a momentum killer to say the least.
I hope that play didn't give a lot of kids on the playground an idea where you're losing the game or you got a kid on the breakaway and you broke your stick. Like, oh, just throw it at him. We'll screw it. We'll take the penalty. So
yeah.
Kids don't get influenced by Mike Riley there. So the game would end up going to overtime. Shots were 36-30 in favor of the Bruins at the end of regulation. So even though the Bruins were able to tie it up 3-3 with 2 clutch third period goals, you got to feel pretty good if you're the Islanders. I mean, it took a power play on a dumb penalty you took to finally tie it for the Bruins. And, it was really only the perfection line that was carrying us in this game. So if you're the Islanders heading into OT, I mean, you got to like where you're at.
Yeah, we were missing Craig Smith for sure too, and I don't know, just because that messes up our third line because we got to split up that. We got to move the Brusque up and slot in Kuhlman, who hasn't been playing too much. So losing Smith just really like was a detriment to not only his line but the third line below that. So it was tough.
It's not cool, Craig. Stupid pun. Carson Coleman, he's all right. I thought he played.
Yeah,
no,
he's not. So he reminds me of Marchand sometimes. Like he's just like a smaller guy, and he's got a good shot, and he hustles pretty hard. But he's not gonna necessarily be able to replace Craig Smith.
And then in overtime, Bruins end up getting a pretty good chance early as Krejci had a wrister that was denied. Hall tried to backhand it on the rebound, but it got denied by Varlamov. If this puck goes in a different direction, it's going in, and the Bruins were able to go home happy. But Varlamov was just in the zone, and I thought he played pretty well in net last night.
I'd agree.
Do you want to explain how this game ends, or should I?
All right. So I mean, so Lauzon has the puck.
Let me get the tissue ready.
Has the puck in the Bruins zone, and looking at the replay, I mean, I know what he's trying to do, obviously, and it's unlucky because it does hit a Bruins player in the skates. It's not like the Islanders guy. It's not like Cizikas intercepted that puck or, it hit a Bruins player, so that was tough. And, Lauzon obviously didn't want to do that. But just watching the replay, Lauzon could have made a much safer play by just throwing that puck down the boards. But, the game moves so fast, so he just tried to throw it to open ice across the zone. Probably had someone open, but hits a Bruins player in the skates and just a perfect bounce. Cizikas gets to the puck before anyone else, and Lauzon's, not really close enough to him to affect the breakaway, really. So Cizikas walks in and shoots one top left on Raskin. You can't really blame Raskin. It's a tough bounce, but you'd like to see Lauzon probably just throw the puck down the boards, make a safer play, but it was just a tough bounce all around because it hits a Bruins guy, and it was tough. The tissues were used.
I'm with you on that. I get what Lauzon was trying to do after watching the replay too, because there was a Bruins player out wide for the cross crease pass or cross ice pass. But as Bruce Cassidy said, and as you just said, it was an ill-advised play by Lauzon, and he probably should have just dumped it in that scenario. Bounces off coiled skates. Cizikas gets the breakaway, as you said, and it was just all she wrote from that point. So the Islanders win 4-3. They even the series at 1 game apiece. And just a few more notes on Lauzon I found out this morning while listening to sports radio. This one was probably expected, but he had the worst plus minus of anyone on the ice last night. I mean, I don't think that comes as a surprise.
No.
The thing that I didn't know is of the 13 goals that the Bruins have given up in the playoffs so far, Lauzon has been on the ice for 7 of them.
That's not good. And I feel like he honestly didn't play like all. I don't know if he's played every game. I don't really think he has. So.
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, granted, half of them came last night of the 7.
That's true. But it's too bad because we miss Kevin Miller right now, and I hate to go back to Orlov, but
Oh yeah.
No suspension, no 4-minute penalty.
Well, we
Whatever.
suspended the Caps for 5 months, so it's all good.
I guess you're right.
So Joe, a viewer of these podcasts, texted me last night after this game, and he was irate. Shout out to him for viewing this podcast. You all should do that too. Hit that like button as well. Quick little plug. He was irate after Lauzone's performance. He offered to drive Lauzone to Logan Airport and just send him on his way. He wants him off this team. A few expletives were involved anyways, but I won't include that. This is family-friendly content. It's a time to move Lauzone out of the lineup and maybe bring in Tenorti again.
Yeah, I guess, especially after a night like that. I mean,
I think that's coming.
Yeah, I would say Bruce probably does it, and it's it's not necessarily like it's not like all those were solely on Lauzone, but like it can't be good for his confidence. I feel bad. I do feel a little bad for him. It's tough because he's trying to prove himself. He's in a big game, and it just didn't go his way. It's too bad.
And if this is game 22 of the regular season and he does this, no one bats an eye because the implications aren't as big, obviously.
Yeah.
And you feel more bad for him because, look, playoff stage, we have a chance to build a gap against a good Islanders team, putting the pressure on them as we go to New York, and he just continues to struggle. So it's probably for the best if Tenorti comes back in game 3. I fully expect that to happen just on the way Cassidy was talking in the post-game press. So we'll see with that change. Hopefully Craig Smith also is ready for game 3. I think you said he should be.
Yeah, from what I was reading earlier today, it sounded like the injury, it sounded like he maybe even could have come back tonight, but last night, but he just wasn't ready. But it sounds like he'd be ready next game.
So Rask had 35 saves on 39 shots. Varlamov, who we just talked about, had an excellent night in goal, 38 saves on 41 shots. What are your predictions for game 3? It's Thursday night at 7:30? Something like that?
I'm not sure, but I do Thursday night, so we get 2 days of rest. I think we'll benefit from that because, man, the Islanders in overtime, there was periods where they were just working around our end and we looked gassed. But yeah, 2 days rest. I think we'll come back with a win. At least I really hope so. So
I think we'll win. I think we're in a better position than people think, where we just had an off game last night, and it's really unfortunate with all the bounces and, just taking dumb penalties still. It's do we answer the bell? And it's all about being resilient. We did this in the Cap series. It's just, the biggest question is, can we correct these simple mistakes? And if we can do that, I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. These first 2 games have been pretty high-scoring, 5-2 and 4-3.
Pretty unlike the two styles the Bruins and Islanders play to have high-scoring games like that.
So I think we're going to win 2-1. I think Rask has a bit of a bounce. Yeah, I think Rask. I mean, he was average. Yeah. I think he'll get back to his regular self in the playoffs. I think Bruins are just going to prioritize, playing better defense, and I think we'll be able to come up with the win and go up 2-1, hopefully.
Yeah, and we didn't play the best game, and we still, I want to say, had 36 shots or something at the end of regulation. I think we had like 41 or whatever at the end of overtime. So despite not playing the best game, we still put up a ton of shots. So, that's a good sign. Right.
And I think we had a decent effort, but the Islanders deserved to win. But that's not to say we didn't get screwed by a few unlucky bounces, because that's exactly what happened. So I think we're in an okay spot. And we knew this was going to be a long series. I don't agree with anyone who said 4 or 5 games. I still think this was probably going to go 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, underestimate the Islanders just because they don't have the biggest names, and their captain, Anders Lee, is hurt too. So I think a lot of people just immediately count them out. But you can't do it when they play the system they play. And, they just have guys who you don't necessarily hear about all the time, but are really good. So
it's very dangerous to underestimate your opponent in sports. We've seen it come back to haunt people, and I don't think that's happening in this series. I think both teams respect each other, and it's been a fun series so far. And I think Game 3 is going to be a joy as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But that is going to do it for this recap. We recapped the first 2 games of the series. We'll be back to do Game 3 probably sometime Friday. Look forward to that. It's a 3-game series at this point with the tied up 1-1. Let me just remind everyone that I have Red Sox recaps coming as well with my friend Ricky. We're going to be doing one right after the Houston Nationals series wraps up. Celtics recaps will be coming, or one more Celtics recap since I fully expect the season to end tonight. We'll just do one final recap to recap games 2 through 5, me and my friend Trevor. If you haven't seen game 1 recap, just check that one out. That was a good one. Patriots recaps will be coming once their season resumes in the fall, and I also will probably do an occasional offseason update with they just did OTAs and once training camp starts. So look forward to that as there's interesting situations transpiring with the Pats. And yeah, I keep forgetting I do this so many times. Once my favorite TV shows come back in the summer and fall, and Big Brother and Survivor, look out for recaps of those. And I'll also be doing personal interviews with my good friend Andrew from college, where we'll just pick random people and get to know them on a personable level. So lots more content will be coming to this channel. Look forward to that. Look forward to more of these recaps. Hit that like button. Absorb that subscribe button. Let us know in the comment section what you like, what you don't like, what you like about us, what you don't like about us. And that is going to do it. Alrighty, everyone. Thanks for watching. Take care.